Guys, before we get started with the Browns report, do me a favor and go down and subscribe. If you love the Browns or you hate the Pittsburgh Steelers, either answer works here. So go down and subscribe so you can get all the Browns news, rumors, all the beloved content your heart desires going into the 2021 NFL regular season. Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report. I'm Matthew Peterson, and Week 2 of the NFL Preseason is in the books. We're 2/3 of the way there. Don't forget, we're working with just three preseason games this year, not the usual 4. And we got a whole new batch of winners and losers. So let's kick it off with the winners. And how about we start on the defensive side with the guy out of Georgia from the 5th round of the 2021 NFL Draft. That is Richard LeCounte II. And he had another interception. He picked off Gardner Minshew against the Jaguars back in Week 1. And what does he do here? He closes the game with an INT to seal the victory over the New York Giants without quarterback Daniel Jones. And so LeCounte, he comes away with the ball, and once again, he's got an interception. He's got all of them so far for the Browns, so why not start it off with him on the winners list. But talking about Richard LeCounte and talking about the safety room that's generating a lot of positive buzz, let me know this right now. Will LeCounte record an interception in the regular season? Preseason stats are fun, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, that game ball is good for you and your mom. That's not really something you talk about when the regular season rolls around. So type P if he's going to get a pick, or D if you think not, and just a drop for Richard LeCounte. Moving on here in some winners, we're going to talk about the quarterback play now from Kyle Lauletta, the 3rd-string quarterback for the Browns, who's basically been the 2nd-string quarterback as Baker Mayfield has been standing on the sideline with the ball cap on, eating a hot dog through 2 weeks of Browns preseason football. And the reason why I put Kyle Lauletta up here is he's played well enough to put himself in conversation of practice squad or maybe even on someone else's 53-man roster. What do I mean by that? And we'll talk about Case Keenum later on. Keenum himself hasn't been all that spectacular, but his contract is going to anchor him in Cleveland, which means Lauletta right now is probably playing for someone else's roster, just putting some demo tape out there so other teams take notice of him if one of their quarterbacks gets hurt. Staying on the offensive side, how about KhaDarel Hodge? He had a great touchdown grab, first since his rookie season with the Rams in the preseason, and it was a great touchdown grab, like I mentioned. Corner of the end zone, nice fade route, extended for it. Go find it and watch it. Just overall a great play from Hodge, who is fighting for a 53-man roster spot. And when you make plays like that, doesn't matter who you're lined up against or who's throwing the ball to you, that's still an impressive touchdown catch no matter what. So Hodge making himself and making a case for that 53-man roster. On the other side of the wide receiver position, it's Davion Davis, the newcomer from Minnesota, and he's been one of the bright spots for the Browns in the preseason games through 2 so far. Davis, the catches he's made, 3 receptions, 45 yards. Again, I've told you guys before, you don't look at stats in preseason. Unfortunately, you got to look at the plays, which means you got to watch 4 quarters of preseason football, even if that means the 4th quarter with the fourth stringers in there. And Davis has been making some impressive grabs so far, enough to land him on the winners list. Speaking of lists, how about this wide receiver depth chart for the Browns? You look at the top 4, lock it in for the overall roster. They're going to make it, no question about it. I'm looking at the next line below it. Anthony Schwartz, 3rd-round draft pick out of Auburn. Pretty much count him in. He has been limited with a couple injuries. Then we got some battling going on. Davion Davis, JoJo Natson, KhaDarel Hodge. Those 3 guys competing for probably 1, maybe 2 more spots. I just don't see the Browns taking more than 6 wide receivers with their love for running backs and tight ends. But all this buzz about wide receiver talk throughout training camp has made me pretty excited. I'm not going to lie. So let me know the last time you were this excited for a Browns wide receiver core. Do you have to go back to, I don't know, the Josh Gordon days, or probably maybe just a year ago? This is a top wide receiver room between Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Rashard Higgins, DPJ. Just those 4 names right there do themselves a lot of justice and a lot of great depth behind them. Meanwhile, for the running backs, they're the ones that broke in FirstEnergy Stadium. First home Browns game that saw fans, by the way, since December 22nd, 2019. And these three faces gave him a warm welcoming. D'Ernest Johnson, he led the way with 36 yards and 9 yards per carry. But John Kelly, kind of the bit of a journeyman, started with the Rams, young guy out of Tennessee, and here he goes off for 58 yards, had a touchdown too, and overall just the looks and the cuts John Kelly gave the coaching staff put himself up in the trending maybe towards a roster bubble. I'm not sure if there's enough room, but Demetric Felton, here's a swing guy who's been looked at the wide receiver and the running back position, and overall, anytime he touches the ball, he's been making his presence known. But guys, what does all this mean? It's a lot of nitty-gritty, third and fourth string talk. So here's what it really boils down to. These are players that are not only, of course, playing for a Browns 53-man roster spot, but unfortunately, a lot of them may just be coming up too soon or too empty, so they may be playing for someone else's 53-man roster. If the Browns have too much depth at a certain position, take wide receiver for example, maybe another team could use some help at the wide receiver position if injuries come about, so they'll look at this film from the Browns and pick up some of these players, whether it's on the practice squad or in free agency off the waiver wire. BetUS is one of the best sports books in the U.S. I love it, and you guys are going to love it too. Let me give you 2 simple instructions, and it's going to make your life a whole lot easier. Go down below to the link right there, right? chatsports.com/bet. Then once you're there, use promo code Browns125, and what that does is it adds on a 125% deposit bonus. So if you put 100 buckaroos in, you're going to get to play with $225. BetUS is going to give you that extra $125 or 125% deposit bonus no matter what you deposit. So once again, you have to use the link, chatsports.com. Don't write it down because it's that easy, but if you need to, get a pen and paper out. And then use the promo code Browns125 for that 125% deposit bonus. Here's a little saucy, a little interesting wager you may care to make. Looking at week 1 of the NFL regular season, Browns traveling to Kansas City for a rematch from the divisional round in the playoffs last year. Chiefs are 6-point favorites while the over-under is at 53. Personally, I kind of like the under only because the Browns defense has looked stellar so far in the preseason. Maybe the Chiefs offense is a little slow in week 1, so I'm kind of eyeing that under of 53. One more time though, chatsports.com, use the link, then promo code Browns125 for that 125% deposit bonus. You've heard me say it before, and it's sadly very true. In life, we have winners, and today we have some losers. Although this is not a long list of losers, because when you win, you're going to be winners, right? There's no losers and winners, but unfortunately, we do have some names to go over, and I got a special one to start things off. How about out of the New York Giants sideline, Sterling Shepard is going to hop in on the Browns losers list. You want to know why? Because he got in a fight with cornerback Troy Hill after the Browns joint practice on Friday. One of those 2 players suited up today. That was Troy Hill. Sterling Shepard was hiding somewhere in the Giants locker room in FirstEnergy Stadium. Nowhere to be found. While Troy Hill, what did he do? He lined up with the first team defense and saw some action in the first quarter. Now, a little interesting decision maybe, because you saw Kevin Stefanski not trigger shy, put his big guy out there, put Troy Hill out there. If there's more beef to squash, but Joe Judge, pathetic. My producer right now, Marshall Green, a Giants guy, he's got his tail between his legs because Sterling Shepard just could not put the gloves on one more time. It's all in good fun, but here's a little more context behind it. Nate Ulrich from covering the Browns of the beat reporter. Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski said he'll keep it internal when asked if he played cornerback Troy Hill because of fight after Friday's practice. I like to think Stefanski said, Hill, go finish this battle right now on the gridiron. But talking about free agency here, Troy Hill, big-time free agency signee from the LA Rams this past free agency class and period. So let me know who has been your favorite free agency signee so far. Could it be John Johnson? He's been spectacular in that safety position. Maybe it's CB Troy Hill. Takk McKinley has been a big question mark. Not sure where he is, but hey, he's a former first-round draft pick. Or is it Anthony Walker, the new leader and signal caller of that Browns defense at that middle linebacker spot? Whatever it may be, get in the comments and let me know. Other losers from week 2 of the preseason, it's quarterback Case Keenum. He's just been mediocre. He's been meh. He's been, I don't know what to tell you guys. Not a lot of positivity, but hey, he signed a 3-year, $18 million contract before 2020 season. He's not going anywhere. I think he probably knows that. Sure, he's competing, don't get me wrong, but he's going to be the backup quarterback no matter how great Kyle Lauletta plays, most likely. So yeah, 74 yards, a touchdown throw, an interception. Nothing crazy, nothing to write home about. Hasn't been that spectacular of a preseason so far for Keenum. So he's one of the losers because when you win, you got to kind of reach for losers sometime. Meanwhile, Takk McKinley is still MIA. If you're watching this, McKinley, let us know what's going on if you'd like to, because I'm sure a lot of Browns fans would like to know. Once again, McKinley did not play in this preseason game. He came to training camp, go back to the beginning of August, late July, showed up to training camps playing, and then I think on the 4th day, exits for personal reasons, and we haven't seen him since. And head coach Kevin Stefanski is keeping his cards close to his chest, hasn't revealed anything, but all the indications are that McKinley is on set to make the 53-man roster and be that third edge rusher behind Clowney and Garrett. So I guess the reason why he's on the loser sheet is, don't you think he wants to get some practice in before he goes up against the Chiefs? I mean, we're talking about the defending AFC champs. I don't like the idea of McKinley's first reps and first snaps in live action coming in week 1. I'd rather see him play just a couple series at least in the preseason. Unfortunately, along with the losers, it's kind of like a ugly cousin right now, and it's ugly because it's just you don't like it. It's not there because you want it to be. But we do have some injury updates here as the Browns, unfortunately, couldn't get through week 2 without full health, and so Cameron Justice here, one of the Browns beat reporters, says Greedy Williams, per Kevin Stefanski, had a groin injury. Cody Parkey had a quad injury. And Montrell Meander had an Achilles injury. Now, none of these injuries jumped out as super serious at the moment. Don't have any major updates. Greedy Williams and Cody Parkey are the ones I'm really watching. Again, Greedy Williams has been battling with Greg Newsome, the first-round pick out of Northwestern, for that CB2 spot with Denzel Ward. So far, Williams has been able to fend off Greg Newsome, but it's worth noting you want everyone healthy. I don't think that groin injury is uber serious, but he did have to leave, and he needed some assistance. Meanwhile, Cody Parkey has been in that kicking battle with Chase McLaughlin for that only kicker spot on the roster, so this may shoot McLaughlin's stock value up a little bit. We'll see how serious that quad injury is for Parkey. Overall, though, for the Browns, there's a lot of positivity coming out of preseason and training camp. I mean, just tons of smiles coming from Cleveland right now. Everyone's happy with how things have been going. I know it's just the preseason. So before you yell at me in the comments, shut up, it's the preseason. Would you rather be winning or losing in the preseason, right? And overall, you look at the player development, and that's what you're really looking for. It's been positive. Donovan Peoples-Jones has been a catalyst in training camp, and that's reflected in the preseason games. A lot of the things that people have been hyping about and preaching about, we've seen translated onto the field so far, but we'll have to wait for the regular season for accurate results. All right, before we wrap up the show, everyone, let me know down in the comments if I missed anyone. Hop down there, let me know, yell at me, critique me, whatever you want to do. Let me know if I left anyone off this list, and put them down in the comments.